All right, welcome back. We're here at the MMA Institute again. This video is going to be from a class we just had. We're going over a basic hip bump and then attacks off the failed hip bump. We're going to hit a Kimura and a guillotine. My class had a lot of questions, so this video is going to end up being a little bit longer than some of the other ones have been, but there was a lot of good questions, and hopefully it will answer some that you all might run into while you're drilling this. So we're starting into guard today. We finished last week moving from half guard to full guard. So we're going to start playing from here today. We're going to start out with a super simple sweep. It's the hip bump. It's one of my favorites. And then we'll work from there. So there's plenty of ways, but I got to clear the hands off of my chest. If he puts his hands down on his own, shame on him. He should know better. But that gives me an easy opportunity to go into this. But if his hands are on my hips, there's multiple ways to clear them. Easiest of which is I just make two big hooks, yank them off, I set up. Also, sometimes he'll be pushing up under my rib cage. I can feed under and kick them off. Either way works. Sometimes you can just kind of like turn your hips and they'll start to come off and you can fight up. But the goal is to get his hands away from my chest off to the mat. So you can either play this one or you can feed under. Notice as I was coming under, he did the right thing. He got real tight. So I bumped my hips up and then I dropped my hips to bring my hands through. Then I feed out. So the next thing we're gonna do off of that is I'm gonna set up and I am going to put my armpit on top of his shoulder. So I clear and I come up. I'm coming up on my elbow, putting my armpit over his shoulder. Actually, let's turn around this way. Give him this angle. So we're in here, sorry. I clear, I come up, and I'm putting my armpit on top of his shoulder, and I'm wrapping his arm. If I can get this, I like to get this. It's not necessary. But I'm coming up, right, hands on here. I clear, whether it's just yanking off, or I might pop, do this. I'm coming up here, and going to this arm. Kimura's here if you want it. We'll get into that some later. We're just gonna work on this sweep for now. Let's go ahead up here. This clamps down and I wrap around his arm and my elbow is pinched in, right? I wanna get him nice and tight in here. This foot comes really, really close to my butt, as close as I can get it. This gives me some leverage when I pop up. So when I go up, I'm gonna rotate my torso. I wanna take him towards this hand that I've trapped. So as I come, I'm pulling his arm underneath. So if his arm's posted out wide, I'm pulling it underneath as I'm coming up, right? That's what I'm using this arm for. So I'm up and I'm bumping my hips into him. I pull this underneath. As soon as he gets to the point where he's gonna fall, I let go and I go wide, right? If I stay hanging onto this arm as we fall, he's just gonna keep rolling. Now I'm right back where I started. So, come back out here, James. We're in here, right? I can pump, clear, I can yank off and clear, but I'm coming up, I'm hitting right here, this wraps, I'm coming up, I bump my hips in, and I pull his arm out wide. Right, this is the direction he's gonna wanna roll me with his momentum going that way. So, full speed, it looks like this. So we're in here fighting, right, he's got his hands in here, I'm here, whatever. Boom. Boom. Right, notice his hand comes wide as soon as his balance goes over the point where he's gonna start falling. I get real wide, I base out so he can't keep rolling me, and then I bring everything back in and I start trying to work to get under his elbows. We've been through this when we were talking about mount. Can you see this or not? Any questions here? Right? This is super simple. I still use it a pile. Higher belts, I don't usually hit it, but it usually leads to a lot of other stuff. So, all right, let's get together. We'll drill. We're back to this same spot, right? I clear however I want to clear. I'm coming up. So a couple of you all are missing this. So I'm coming up to my elbow and I'm wrapping. Before I go, I want to get to my hand. If you can get it all in one motion, that's great. Sometimes you'll have to fight up for it a little bit, but I'm clearing, I'm coming up here, and then I'm turning my hand out so I can come up here. Back off of me for a second. If I'm trying to do it from here, like that's as far as I can get my hips. If I get up to my hand, now I can get my hips so much further because I have more leverage, right? I can explode in so much harder. So he's in here, right? I clear, I come up, boom. See what I'm saying? So sometimes when I do this, he's gonna be able to free this arm. So I'm here, I'm clear, boom, this happens, right? Now I'm not finishing this, right? He stopped it, he's got his base back. Either I wasn't wrapped or I didn't snap enough. Maybe I just didn't have quite the right angle. He was able to just muscle through it at that point. That's fine. So if I'm already dangling here, this hand is gonna grab his wrist. So I'm gonna go here to here, and this one's gonna grab my own wrist. So I'm here, I clamp down. Good shoulder, bad shoulder? All right, that's what I was asking. Okay, so I'm here, right? I keep this nice and tight. I wanna connect his elbow to me if at all possible, right? This makes it a lot harder for him to defend. Notice I don't even have my thumbs in here. He can try to pull his hand back to his hip at this point, right? I got him pretty good here. This is bad shoulder, so I'm not gonna go very far on this, but I've got a lot of pressure with this down, and I'm off to the side, right? I'm not straight out in front of him. I get off to the side, I pull his elbow in, and then I slowly turn that up, okay? So if I'm in here, he can take this a lot further than as I stretch it out. Like you can probably feel that tension and up as I get it out here. If I'm in here, I see it all the time. People will push and push and push, and then they end up, yeah, that ends up happening, right? Trying to be super easy on his shoulder here, but so as I'm pushing, right, if I'm in here, a lot of times they can take it a lot further than if I'd come here and keep this nice and tight, and I'm pulling his elbow into me, and then I turn with my whole body. I don't have to go very far. So once again, we're in here, he's here, I clear, I come up, he posts. This is already wrapped, I drop back, and I clamp down hard with this. Okay, my other knee's blocking this other side from him just walking away from this. I pull this elbow to my chest, and I turn my whole body. I don't have to go very far for the tap. How about, let me grab Alan. All right, so we're in here, right? I clear however I want to clear. I come up into this, and I didn't get this wrapped tight enough, whatever, for whatever reason he's able to base. Right, at this point I can push and push and push. He's not gonna go more than likely unless something stupid happens, you know, slips in sweat or whatever. So from here, my right hand is gonna come to his wrist, and this hand is gonna grab my own wrist. I'm gonna put my head out this way as I go, and this leg's gonna clamp down on his back. So I'm here, oh, right? I keep this real tight. There's a lot of pressure in his spine here. I pull his elbow into my chest real tight, and then I turn my whole body until I get the tap. Right? I don't want to come up here, because right here, like I can push a good ways. He's starting to get it. If I get right here, it's a whole lot shorter distance to get this tap. Right? I don't have to put near as much into it. Pull it out here, clamp down tight, turn your whole body. Is there any questions about this?
Oh, yes.
What you got?
Is that like you're going for that, or is that an alternative?
So I go for the sweep.
Okay.
I go for the sweep 100%. Some people like the Kimura a whole lot, and they will go. They'll shoot for the sweep just to get that hand out to attack the Kimura. But personally, I usually go for the sweep. If that doesn't happen, then I go for that Kimura. The reason I go for the sweep is, especially in MMA, if I get on top, I can blast. If I'm in mount, I'm winning the fight. Right, I might be fighting this Kimura for a while. He might know good defenses to it. He might shift his weight, whatever. So I might be fighting that Kimura for a while on the bottom, and it doesn't look good in judges' eyes, right? But if Kimura is my thing, right, that might be a good option just to go for the Kimura. If that's what you go for, that's what you hit most often, right? That's a legit option. Or if you're just grappling, right, and that Kimura is your go-to thing, that's a legit option. For MMA, I prefer to get the mount. Right, punch people. If they give me something, I take it. If not, I just keep punching them. Any other questions? Elbows are wonderful there too, if it's allowed, depending on where you're fighting.
The key is to keep his elbow to your chest when you're going through the...
Yeah, I want to keep everything nice and tight. This clamps down, and then I'm here. Right, I turn my whole body. But his body just kind of gets trapped in this little triangle area. Yeah, I'm turning my whole body, and then if I need to, I can push further. Right? But come here for 1 second, James. Like if I take him to tap, right, so we're here, I've cleared, we come up here. If I take him to tap, so we're in here nice and tight, he's tapping right there. So if I let go of his arm, right here's where he's tapping, I can legit push his wrist to here. right? So that's pretty much shoulder gone. So when I'm coming in here, right, he's here, I clear, boom, this happens. I'm right here, this is tight. I'm turning and getting my tap. See, I'm not having to go very far here.
So even in MMA, you still got them in a good lower back.
Yeah, but if I don't finish it,
Right, yeah.
right, if my angles, I mean, it's easy when you're drilling, right? If you're drilling, you should be able to tap any submission you're doing with relative ease, right? Even if they're giving you a little bit of resistance. When you're going full speed, like little angles change, like it's a lot harder, right? And sometimes it's just like a slight hair you're off that you can't get the tap, but for whatever reason you can't fix that because of something they're doing. Whether it's them knowledgeably defending it or it's just dumb luck where you ended up at. Does that make sense? Yeah, and then you're fighting from bottom. It doesn't look good in judges' eyes.
Was there any way to go back to the sweep from that?
Oh yeah, so if I'm in here, we'll touch on this real quick. If I'm in here and I clear, right, and I'm this, he might be strong and just like forcing this back in behind my back. Right? Which legit happens a lot. Yeah. Or come back in here. We might be in here and I can't get separated out, right? I can just switch right back to this, right? This is where I can go and wrap this. Now I've got a way better grip, which makes it harder for him to post out. Does that make sense? Put your arm out there, James. Right?
So that's what you're saying, if you can collect that.
If you can, right? But it's not a necessity. Right? I'm usually only catching this if I go up and he tries to wrap around my body, right? Just tries to muscle. Sometimes I'll fight through here and get this. And then I'll keep it connected and then I'll work my way over. Any other questions about that? Cool, get together. He's in this same scenario. I set up, bang, I go for this. He like kind of leans in right here and I can't even get him to post that arm out. Right? This happens a lot, especially with wrestlers. These guys over here, they like to, before you can even get up, like they'll stop you right here. What I do usually have is a guillotine. So I wrap back, this hand comes back, and this is where people mess right here. There's no room there. So as soon as way, and I wrap, right? So I gotta make all this room, right? If I stay in here tight, these will start never winning that. So I'm here, my hips way back, and I'm just kind of dangling my arm over there. I shoot this in, and I want to cover his head up, like, so the ball of his head, I want my armpit on the side of the neck. If the ball of his head is a line through his head. Does that make sense? Yeah. Trying to explain what's going through my head here. So I'm trying to get on this side of this line that's at the ball of your head, right? So I want to be here. I'm dropping back. My hands are coming in. I like to get this grip. There's some people come here, high elbow. There's lots of different grips. I like to make a fist and cup it. I'm turning the blade of my forearm into his neck, right? I don't want the flat part. I want the sharp part. I want to cut in. So we're here. He kind of stops me. I wrap. I shoot my hips back. And I bring this through. My hand is right in the center of my chest right now. So I'm here, I drag him back, and I throw this leg up. This is the key leg, right? I don't care if he passes that side. He can go that side all he wants. That's instant death, right? Because he's turning deeper into that choke, right? So this leg is what I'm worried about. This leg is key. I can come here. I can lock full guard if I want. I prefer just to come here. So I see people all the time start doing this, right? I'm not choking you there, am I? No. Okay, so I'm in here, they'll start pulling here, but look what's happening to the ball of his head, right? Because they're pulling hard this way, like they're trying to rip his head off. I don't want to do that. I want to make this hole small. So what I do is I flex my lat, which pulls his head into this choke more, and I flex my side, what are these muscles here? Obliques, there we go. So we're here, boom, I bump through, I drop back, this leg goes over, this is the key. You can go here if you feel more comfortable here. I'm usually just here, right? I turn, that's what happens, you good? Right? So I'm making sure the blade of my forearm is cutting into the neck area, right? I don't want to be flat. If it's flat, right? He can take a lot more than if it's the blade. I'm using when I flex my lat, it's pulling his head down further into this, and then when I get smaller. So let me here. So we set up, I drag him back, and then when I flex, his ball of his head's back here behind my shoulder. So I flex my lat, which makes that hole smaller, and then I crunch my obliques, which puts his neck in this little hole, right? If I do this, it's getting bigger, right? So I'm gonna ball up, get real small. I wanna strangle him. Yes, ma'am.
Pulling your other arm too, or you just
So I'm pulling this up, and I'm trying to turn everything to make this hole as small as possible. So I'll give you all the exact opposite angle, right? So I'm here, I clear, boom, I come here, he kind of braces. This wraps around, I scoot back, this comes through. See how this pop through? This hand comes in, this leg goes up, that's my key leg, right? My armpit area is on the neck side of the ball of his head, which kind of keeps him trapped in there. If his head's starting to come out at this point, shoulder walk back up it, right? We want to secure the position before we start, right? So if he's kind of like right here, where his head's about to pop out, I'm gonna work to get back up, and then I'll bring it back down in, right? Flex my lat, abdominal crunch, things get black. Come here, Alex. Give you a little different view here. So once again, I'm in here, I clear whatever, I come up here, and this happens, right? He starts pushing his weight into me. This hand wraps, I scoot back, my hand comes to my chest. I like to make a fist here, and then I grab on top of it. Like I say, there's different grips you can use. Figure out what works for you. This leg goes over, I drop back. I'm making sure I'm on like the neck side of the ball of his head. I flex my lat, I rotate my abdominals, or my obliques. Things get nice and tight, don't they? Can you see that again? You good? Any questions? It's all about making this hole small, right? I'm not trying to pull his head off, I'm trying to make this hole small. We want to strangle people, not rip their heads off. I mean, if you can, go for it. But all right, get together. Let's drill. I had a question about the leg. You want to lay here? Super light, put me in a guillotine, so I can kind of talk through this as we're going. Guillotine. If he, go ahead and grab your grip. If he's this way and I start to look this way, like I'm choking myself, right? That's making the choke worse. I want to get to here, and I'll put my chin in his ribs. Now James can squeeze as hard as he wants. Go ahead, crush my, choke me. Come on, squeeze. That's everything he's got, right? Squeeze, right? And I'm talking just normal, right? I'm safe here. Let me back out here. There's pressure on the back of my neck, right? But no choke, right? I've got my chin buried in his rib. So as he's dropping into this, if he doesn't get this leg up, right? And if this arm gets stuck here, right? Now I go into my Von Flue choke. Trap, I'm gable gripping here, and I'm just driving shoulder pressure in. That's why this leg is so important. So as he's coming up, right? As soon as he starts to wrap it, come near as much. Whatever you want. But make sure the leg on the non-choke side is getting up quick. Right? A couple of y'all were dropping all the way back and then bringing that leg up. That leg's got to come up as you're dropping back. If they pass there and your arm's stuck, that's an instant Von Flue. Right? People will hit that and it's horrible. Y'all run into any questions with that?
I couldn't, well, it was probably my fault. I couldn't get my hand around my fist. My hand kept getting, like, too far in. Was like, am I not sliding my hand?
Come show me on him. Actually, come right out here. Pretty, please. James, you gonna come in here so I can watch and see what she's got happening? Oh, let me get my eyeballs on too. I'm blind as can be. All right.
But my hand kept getting stuck.
So if you make more space off that jump,
Okay.
right, so as you're wrapping, if you make more space as you're falling back, this can connect, right? Yeah, that's why we make that space so that this can happen fairly easy.
Okay.
Also, if you get really deep and you're still kind of close, so go ahead and wrap back into the guillotine without your arms connected. Right, so with that space, if you can get this all the way to your chest, now you can open up a little bit and be able to grab that. Right, as long as there's pressure on the back of his neck below the ball of his head, you can keep him in there pretty easy. Cool. Any other questions? All right, let's. We got an odd number, so I'll jump in. We will roll live a little bit.
I'm not going to.
All right, never mind. I won't jump in. She ruined it for me. All right, hopefully you all enjoyed this video, got a lot out of it. We did some basic stuff, but it was a lot of details into it that might help you out. You might know some of this stuff, maybe some of the details were a little different, might change some of your submission rates. But anyways, so if you're in Virginia, check out MMA Institute. I'm at the one in Harrisonburg. Come by, check us out, sign up for some classes, take some free ones. We have a trial. And if you're not there, find a gym, improve yourself. If you can't do that, give us some buddies until you can find a gym that works for you. Have fun training, get at it.